So, this is how I found out I was pregnant with my oldest son. I had gotten into a car wreck like 2 days after I got pregnant with my oldest son. Um, he, I was going to the chiropractor, periodically. I was getting sick. I was not having a period. I was just thinking maybe it's because I'm stressed out. And as far as me getting sick, I was thinking, oh, maybe I just have a 24-hour bug. Well, the chiropractor person told me, she said, you need to get in to see the doctor because if you don't, then I'm going to go get a pregnancy test and you're going to take it. I said, okay, fine then. I'll go see the doctor. Well, I went and seen the doctor. The doctor sat down with me for like 5 minutes and she goes, well, I have something to tell you. I'm like, great, what's that? And she goes, you're pregnant. I said, on what? She said, you're pregnant. I said, on what? She said, you're pregnant. And I said, okay, that's nice. And so I walked out to tell the boys' dad. All I could say about that was, wow, wow, wow. The boys' dad goes, what? I said, wow. And his dad said, what? I said, wow. And I couldn't tell him. So I went to my first OBGYN appointment. And I saw the baby for the first time. He looked like a little bitty peanut. So the OBGYN person called him a munchkin. And his dad called him a munchkin. I called him a little peanut because he was always my little peanut. I was 7.5 weeks. And then later on, we found out that I had O negative blood, which means I had to have a regain shot with him. And then after that, we then found out that around October-ish or something like that, we found out that I was having a boy. Well, we went through a whole bunch of names because people said that they didn't like this name or that name, so we went through a whole bunch of names. Well, the family settled on Isaac Christopher. That's his name, Isaac Christopher. So when I had him, my mother goes, okay, well, we're going to name him Isaac, but let's put it Issac. I was like, that's great, whatever. So that's Isaac Christopher. And then when I had him, went in for my C-section to have him, and I said, at first I was going to name him with my last name, which is obviously. And then his dad's dad was all like, well, that's lame. And I'm like, well, you know what? I was like, the boy's dad, I was like, you know what? You're in his life. Why don't I just give him your last name? So he doesn't have my last name. He has his dad's last name. So then I turned around and I gave him Isaac Christopher and his dad's last name. So it's been 5 years and he has his dad's full name. Or he has his dad's last name. So he's what made me a mother. He's what helped me become a mother. He's what helped me understand what seizures are. He's helped me know what it's like to be a mother. He's the one that was my shelter whenever my father passed away. He was my everything. He was my son, my first son. I tell you what, he was my world. I mean, I'm not gonna say that about either one of my kids because they were both my world, but Isaac was my world. And then 8 months later I found out that I was pregnant again, and I was like, oh yes, another baby. What am I going to do with this one? I mean, he's not a mistake. The second son was not a mistake. A baby's never a mistake. Maybe a miracle, but never a mistake. So I was like, I'm pregnant again. I'm like, yay. The boys' dad, his Isaac's dad was like, yay, another baby. That's all we need. So when I had my second son, we went through a list of names, of course. My mama was calling my second son Zay Zay because she was like, well, we should just name him Zay Zay, which their predicament name for Zay Zay is Isaiah. So we called him Isaiah after Zay Zay for a little while. So then we started calling him Isaiah. And then I told Isaac's dad, I said, let's just give him Cicero name because Cicero passed away before we found out before we found out what I was having with Isaac, and we was gonna give Isaac Cicero's name, but some people in the family didn't like that, so we were like, well, whatever. So I was like, I tell you what, no matter what anybody says to the boy's dad, I was like, no matter what anybody says, we're going to give this baby as a middle name. We're going to give this baby Cicero name. And Isaac's dad was like, okay, cool, fine. And because I always like the IC names, Isaac, Christopher, Isaiah, Cicero, them are always been cool names to me. I don't know why it stuck with me, and it was just something that I wanted to do. And I still, if I have any more kids, IC is just the name that I want to stay with. And so we went through that whole process again, and the OBGYN doctor come and said, oh, he's got a whole head full of hair. And I'm like, oh, well, that must be a girl. His name's going to be Isabella Christian or something. And then she said, oh, and he's definitely a boy. I said, well, then his name is Isaiah Cicero. And he got to stay with me in the OR. And so that's how we ended up with that. But Isaiah taught me a lot of things too. Isaiah taught me that he's a mommy's boy and that he will always be loved. And that Isaiah taught me that he is a very abusive child. But, that could change later on in life. Isaiah was my whole world just as long as Isaac was too. Isaac was my first. Isaac went through everything with me. Isaiah was my second baby. I went through everything with him. I love both of my kids. My kids are my whole world. When they got taken, I was all down. I was all down and depressed about it. But the situation that the kids are in, it is what it is. And after this video, I'm probably going to talk a little bit about Isaiah, since I just talked about a little bit about Isaac's background. So we're probably just going to talk about Isaiah in the next one. So stay tuned for Isaiah's little whatever. Thank you for watching me. Make sure you subscribe.